There's the chat.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let me know in chat if you are here and can actually hear and see us. Right. So it says we're live on my end.
It is currently not live on YouTube though.
Oh, that makes sense.
Now.
Yeah, because the stream didn't go live until 14:30. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Or maybe it's good evening for you, or good morning. For me, it's a good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon here.
Hello. Good to see everybody here. Yes, we're live with True VFX. Say hello, everybody. We'll get started in a few minutes. Have a few minutes to have people come in. We'll do some basic introductions, or maybe, True VFX should do some basic introductions, mainly because I suppose most of you who logged on here and know who I am. And yeah, we'll get the show on the road.
Yeah, they won't know me.
That makes sense. They probably know your stuff though.
Possibly, yeah. We it's a bit odd. We have like a very small, close-knit community, and outside of that, not many people know who we are. So,
well, you guys have some very popular add-ons, right?
yeah. Well, I think they're popular and they're quite cool, but it's subjective, isn't it?
That's true.
Blender. How long does it take to grow a beard like yours? Right. A while. I'm not too sure. I haven't done anything with it for a while.
All right, so setting up the final things here. Now, I'll mention a couple times more during the stream, but I would like you guys to know that we currently have a discount running as part of this live stream and collaboration. So you can now go over to the link in the video description and use the code, which I should probably put in there as well. That's a maybe a valid point here. Or actually, let me just put it on stream. That might be even better. Should I? Or should I just put it in the description? I'll just put it in the description. Use code True Sunrise, right?
Yeah. Yep, True Sunrise.
Your discount. All right, so you can now get through True Sky, which is one of True VFX's add-ons, with 35% off using the link in the video description and the code True Sunrise at checkout. So just so you guys know that. It's a great add-on. Maybe some of you have used it to create skies for these renders. Who knows?
Who knows?
Could be. Kaizen also held a challenge. Yeah. We did together, essentially. I do monthly challenges on average. But yeah, this one was a collaboration with True VFX, and it's currently 3 past 3:30 or 2:30, I should say. So I feel like we have some people in the chat watching, so maybe it's a good time for you to introduce yourself.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm one of the guys over at True VFX. We make all of the products that have got True slapped at the beginning. So if it's a terrain tool, we stick True on there. If it's a sky tool, we stick True on there. And we've been doing it now for 5 years, I think, 5-6 years. And I guess that's kind of it for the tools that we do. We kind of focus on nature tools. That's our wheelhouse, nature tools. So terrain, skies, clouds and things like that. And
Basically, you
currently,
guys focus at realism, right? Or at least
yeah. So
achieving realistic renders.
we focus on like trying to get it as real as possible for the user,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a bone of contention because we don't really support Eevee and everyone hates us for that. But yeah, no. So that's us. We're only a small team. There's like 4 of us, and one of them's just gone on leave because he's just had a baby. So
Oh,
yeah,
just like me.
just like you, yeah.
Just
So
like me.
our lead dev, he's on leave for a little bit,
Okay.
which leaves me to pick up the slack.
Cool. All right. Well, we've got quite a lot of submissions to go over, and I want to sort of get this stream done before the sun sets, maybe. So
Next challenge.
let's
Sunset
get into
Serenity.
it, and let's start watching at some of our submissions. So I'm gonna go over to our next setup here. Now, I'm using a PDF here, so I'll probably be moving in and out between basically, having this thing full screen and not, so I can make annotations, which I feel like could be useful for you guys if I make some sort of annotations. And maybe you can do some stuff as well. You can just tell me where to put a line, for example, give some feedback. Anyways, this was the Blender Dojo Community Challenge. That's my Discord server. So if you're checking out this live stream, you can join the Discord server, the link in the video description as well. Lots of people in there, mostly Blender users, but generally just 3D enthusiasts, and you can learn and grow there. So a fun place to join. Make sure to check it out. All right, so we have our prizes for this challenge. And again, as before, we have three placements. And we'll decide together who the winners are. You can give some input, maybe shout out some names if you really like them, but generally speaking, we're going to decide who the winners are. Third place is getting 1 add-on with compliments of True VFX and $100 in render credits from a Fox render farm. Second place is getting 2 add-ons of choice. Again, obviously sponsored by True VFX, $200 in render credits from Fox Render Farm, and a runner-up role on the Kaizen Discord, which is really nice to sort of flaunt your skills as a Blender user. And first place is 3 add-ons from True VFX, $300 in render credits, and the winner role, which is slightly better than the runner-up role. Just another way of showcasing your talent as a Blender or 3D artist. All right, so those are the prizes, and we're just gonna hop on into the renders. I've put them in alphabetical order, so if you remember the name you gave your artwork and you're in the chat, you can sort of guess where you should be, maybe. All right, so I'm gonna go full screen. And this first piece is called A Deer's Gaze, and it was submitted by Agent Ducky. Now, I'll give you like the first opening here.
Okay. This is a nice render. This is a very well. The lighting is very good here, and the composition overall is nice. Man, this is a really good render. I think the framing is done really well. The lens flare adds to it, but maybe it could have been toned down a touch, because I feel like we're washing out just that perfect silhouette of the deer in that sort of opening in the trees. But I don't really have much to critique here. It's a very nice, followed rule of thirds.
Yep.
Good amount of contrast. Nothing's crushed. Nothing's blown out. Overall, a very good piece.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Well, basically, you said it all, right? It's very well done. My main feedback would be that, like, from a visual standpoint, I would like it a little bit more if the leading lines would be more dramatic. So obviously we have this as the focal point, right? You have the lens flare further sort of enhancing that focal point. And we do have some leading lines, like, for example, these mountains here. Yeah. But the trees, for example, because they're so tall and we're up close like this, and because of the darkness, some other leading lines start disappearing, you're missing leading lines going like this, right? They are there. It's just a little bit too dark maybe to actually see them, and the trees could
Yeah.
maybe have gone like this, right? Maybe just changing the lens to be more fisheye um, size, or just making it a little bit more dramatic, could have further emphasized those lines all pointing towards the deer here. I would have liked that.
Yeah, that is a good point to raise. Actually, yeah, maybe a different camera lens type. This just I might be wrong, but this just looks like they've got a very shallow sort of focal length on a standard camera. If they'd used like a fisheye or something, that could have given it a bit more. This is what I want you to look at in the center of the shot. But yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Overall, very well done, Agent Ducky. So, our compliments. Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
perfect.
All right, so this is the submission by, I believe it was our previous winner, Webo. And it's called A Dragon's Sunrise.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can lead again if you want to.
Okay. I'd. This is a tough one. I like this, but I think the palette is a big the color palette over here. There's very a lot of browns and whites. It's a little bit desaturated in the rest of the colors.
Yeah.
So
It's very monotone.
yeah, I don't know if it entirely evokes like the whole sunrise thing. I would say it's obviously a low sun, but I don't know if the colors are right for that sunrise. I mean, the framing's perfect. They've done a really good job of framing it. You've got your focal points. We've got the dragon in the background, the dragon in the foreground, the hero with a handgun and a sawn-off shotgun ready to take on the world.
I hope it's a powerful gun.
I know, right?
That dragon doesn't look like he's easily hurt by a pea shooter.
No. So I think the story's there. It's a really good story.
Mm.
We can see, is that someone hiding on the left? Like,
yeah, it is, and it's also very cool that there's like a dragon poster. Maybe it's like a, warning. There's now dragons. Be warned. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the overall story's really good.
Yeah.
I think the composition's a little bit off.
Yeah.
And the lighting's a little bit off, but other than that, a very good try.
Yeah, I completely agree. My main feedback would be quite similar. So generally speaking, I'd say the ground is a little bit too reflective. Now, it's obvious there's water going on here, but still it feels just a little bit too reflective, these types of surfaces over here. You guys can see my mouse, right? You should be able to. But yeah, these surfaces over here, they feel just a little bit too shiny in my opinion. And yeah, just like you said, it could use some color contrast. So this is very monotone. The only actual color contrast in the image is this part over here, which is greenish. But it just doesn't offer enough contrast, I feel like. So indeed, having some blues, having some reds in there, and not just the yellows, would have sold the sunrise a little bit more, as well as made the image more balanced from like a visual standpoint.
Yeah, using complementary colors with the balance out a bit more and gave a bit more visual contrast. Yeah.
Yes, the orange and teal look would have worked quite well here, which is a very common color scheme.
Yeah, blue shadows. Yeah.
Exactly.
Blue shadow.
But overall, very good submission. And the dragon is amazing. I'm not sure if you modeled that yourself. If you did, outstanding. If you didn't, then still it's a good use of an asset.
Yeah, the posing and everything's really like there's a lot of weight.
It's very
in
dynamic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good job.
So either way, good job. Sure. All right, our next one by Jaden Lomelli, Serenity Downfall. Now, before we begin, there's two things I would like to mention. First of all, this was submitted by someone who they expressed themselves that they are 12 years old, which is, if that's true, that's amazing. And second of all, the resolution for this image is technically not correct. So I added in these black bars myself to fit the image, which is technically a reason for disqualification. So we're going to critique it, but we're not including it in the chance to actually win one of the prizes.
Okay.
And just to keep things fair, because we have to make, you know, some point where we say, okay, this is not acceptable anymore, because else, you know, where do we have to draw the line? We have to draw it somewhere. So we're drawing it on these types of things. All the specs were in the initial brief, so that's why.
Read the brief, guys. Read the brief.
If you want to win, you can still get, you know, if you don't want to win and you want to get feedback, that's fine. We'll give you feedback. That's free. Yeah. We're all here to learn, so that's the most important thing. I always feel like that's the reason we do these challenges. It's not to give away stuff. It's to teach and to help people grow. Yeah.
And it's a shame, man, because this is a really nice render.
It is.
It's a really good render. I mean, yeah, the quality of everything's really good. I don't know if any of this has been personally hand modeled or anything, and if these are just sort of assets that have been found.
They made the robot, so this is a robot.
Oh, really?
They made that themselves.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, the material work really.
And the rest is probably just assets.
Yeah, this is a really nice render. I mean, the story's really good. The you know, the robot in his boombox.
Yeah. The colors are there as well, right? So just comparing 100%. To the previous one, this is very much the same type of light that we just had in the previous image, but the contrast here with the blue fall off in the distance, the blurriness and stuff like that, it just makes the image more real and more pleasant to your eyes.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think that's one thing maybe not a lot of people know, or maybe not a lot of people are aware of, but like color theory plays a big role in the pleasingness or what would you say is like the word for like of an image.
Absolutely.
It really affects like the contrast. It affects the overall vibe of the image, and the color theory is really well done. Yellows, blues, purples, oranges. I mean,
that's basically all there.
Yeah, there's nothing too oversaturated. Everything just seems to fit really, really well. I really like this shot.
And again, a very nice lens flare in there.
Yeah, not too overpowering either. Just enough to sort of say, look, there's a bit of light going on here, but not like Michael Bay in your face.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is nice. It's a shame it didn't meet the requirements, because this is a really good render.
Yeah, it is. It is a shame. But yeah, you know, like I said, we have to draw the line somewhere.
Read the brief.
Yeah, it might not be completely fair, guys, but it's also not fair to the others to not draw the line. So to answer your question, Killreal, we are looking at all the works, yes. So all the ones submitted over on my Discord and on True VFX's Discord are being reviewed. Anyways, Jaden, great submission. It's a shame about the resolution, and the only actual thing I could fault it for is that I'm seeing some grass poke through other models. So you can see some grass here in the lamp. You can see some grass in the boombox, which is, you know, it's extremely nitpicky. So if that's the only thing we can fault it for, then you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
David, don't be too hard on your son. It's you know, not everybody has the same amount of talent at such a young age.
David's throwing absolute shade on his son.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
All right, so this next image is called Ancient Serenity, and it's submitted by Rainix. Would you like me to start on this one?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah,
fire away,
okay. Yeah. I think this is a really cool image. It has a lot of cool stuff going on, lots of foliage. I always enjoy seeing lots of foliage. There are some interesting elements like these huge entangled tree roots, these sort of, well, old civilization type
Hmm.
buildings. Lighting is really good as well. There's a nice warm sunrise look to it, but there's still blue in the sky to give some contrast.
Hmm.
So colors and everything is on point here. My main thing or main issue with this image would be scale.
Yeah.
And that's one of the harder things to do in 3D in general. But having things match up in scale is very important for a good looking image, and as well it's incredibly hard to do. So if you look over here, you see these rocks, for example. Those seem to be the size of about a tree. At least I'm assuming these smaller things here are trees. So
Hmm.
those are huge rocks, right? Which is fine. That could be the case. But
Yeah.
then there's this tree, which is extremely huge. Again, this could be the case, but given that there's not a whole lot of context and we're not seeing any atmospheric fall off, we, or at least I, struggle to judge the distance and therefore the skill of these things,
Yeah.
which is, something that sort of detracts from the realism of this image. And the other thing that I would change is the character here. First of all, I don't think it needs to be there, nor this bench. Second of all, it feels kind of weird because the character seems like a modern, younger Mill, and the rest of the image has this very fantasy, ancient vibe to it, which sort of mismatches in my mind.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's about it. Overall, I do really like this image, though.
Yeah, I would agree. I think scale is the biggest critique here. And one thing that not a lot of people address when they do sort of make things to scale is like the bigger something gets, the smaller the details look perceptually. So, like the tree, for example, that massive tree, those leaves, there would be an infinitely more amount of leaves on that if they were just normal sized leaves. And right now they just look like bigger leaves, um,
Oh yeah,
which
that's a good one.
takes, yeah, it kind of takes away the whole point of the, like, is this a big tree or is everything else tiny around it? Again, I agree with the guy on the bench. I don't know if they need to be there. And it also kind of looks like from the position that they're sat, it looks like they're just looking down at the phone when they've got this beautiful sort of historical land in front of them and they just sat on TikTok or something. but
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah, that person could go. The bench, there's a repetition in the texture there. You can see the tiling happening on the top of the bench. Um,
oh yeah,
get rid of it. Put if you need a character there, put someone in that fits the scene.
yeah.
Don't just grab any old character from like CG Trader or ArtStation and drop them in. And again, yeah, the sort of exponential fog that happens when things become further away is very lacking here. So like we don't know if the distance between this character and the stuff that's in the background is 10 feet or 10 miles
Exactly. Yeah,
because of that
exactly.
problem.
Yeah, that's
But
throwing off the scale.
yeah, lighting's good. The quality of the assets outside of the person and the bench are good. And again, the contrast and color theory going on here is pretty good too. It's just the scale's the biggest problem.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, great submission overall, though. So well done. And let's hop on to the next one.
Hmm.
All right, so this one is called "And the Sun Rises as If Nothing Had Happened," and it was submitted by you, Martin. Obviously a homage to Star Wars here.
Hmm.
Not sure if you're a fan, but
Oh yeah,
I
yeah. Star Wars is amazing.
okay, cool. Yeah, I am, and yeah, this is like the two sun home planet. What's it called?
Tatooine.
Tatooine. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, and I think this render is quite good. However, it's very noisy.
Hmm.
Again, this could be a choice because of like atmospheric dirt and stuff like that. Um, was it from the Space Challenge? No, it's not Radical. It's Pretty sure this thing said sunrise serenity. I could be wrong though.
We'll
No, I'm
double
pretty
check.
I'm pretty sure it did. But yeah, overall, I think this sun is just not strong enough right now
Hmm.
because I would like to see more rim lighting on sort of this shape here,
Yeah,
creating more contrast between the sky and this building here. Same for
yeah,
R2D2 here. You know, having the sun be stronger, even just adding in artificial area lights and using light linking to
yeah,
not have them affect the ground, but creating rim lighting on these things could be just a great way to emphasize this image. Rim lighting here, rim lighting on this pole, rim lighting on this building. Yeah, that's basically my main feedback.
yeah. I agree. I mean, they've done a really good recreation of Tatooine, and the whole vibe of it just being completely a dead planet.
Yeah.
So well done with that. I light contrast is an issue here. Everything's kind of flat to a degree. I can see that there are shadows, but they're very soft,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not a lot of um, like intensity around the bits that are lit. Yeah, light groups with light linking would have addressed any issues here. It's not a common technique, like it's only just been introduced into Blender. So if you're using Blender for this, then maybe it's something that you don't know about.
Yeah, that's true. It's
But
very
yeah, no,
powerful. It's extremely powerful.
oh, 100%, yeah. Because a lot of people don't know this, but like a lot of the lighting is faked when you see it in CGI in the big films and
Oh
things
yeah,
anyway. Like,
and even
um,
in real movies, right?
yeah,
You know,
yeah, 100%. They use
somebody
something called
sitting in their home and there's this nice rim lighting on their face. That's not how an actual home looks. It's just there's this
yeah,
guy who adds in these lamps to do it.
yeah. It's just there for that. And if you're unsure of the term, like specifically for like when you're lighting characters and things, it's called hero lighting.
Yeah.
So it's not the ambient light that's going on. It's specific lights for the main character, human, whatever it is, object. So yeah, a bit of hero lighting on the building, and R2 would have definitely been a welcomed addition. But
Yep.
overall, it's a good
Yeah,
representation of what
absolutely.
we all love and know.
One thing I would like to point out, which is done well, at least it seems like it's done intentionally, is that there seems to be atmospheric distortion for the sun here, and
Hmm.
also for the sort of the planet in the distance.
Yeah.
Tatooine is a very hot planet, probably because it has two suns. But um, yeah, just having that sort of atmospheric distortion going on is a very nice touch.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, both of my lights have just died for some reason. Okay,
Uh
I'll,
oh.
I'll, I'll fix them in a
I'll
minute.
I'll just move on to the next one, and you get your lights sorted.
Give me 2 seconds. Oh goodness.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna introduce this next one. This one is called Archway of the First Light. It was submitted by Houdini. Um, yeah, I'll give some initial feedback here as well. So this person did really add in some nice atmospheric fog, basically the sort of distance fog over here. By the way, there's several ways you can do this in Blender, right? You can either go for something like using the mist pass, which is one of my favorite methods because it's very light on your final render. But you can also just add in a big cube with a volume and dial that down a ton and have that work for you. Or you can use both for even more realistic results. But the mist pass is one of my favorites. So if you don't know how to use the mist pass, try googling it. There's probably several YouTube tutorials. There's also one from mine about adding in fog and mist in your renders. It's a very, very easy and powerful method to add in additional realism. Now, I think this image is really cool. I love the Torii gate. The person who made this said they made the Torii gate themselves. So that's a job well done. I think these are sort of hanging ribbons, but if they're not, and I'm not entirely sure, I would have liked these to sort of follow the lines of the Torii, right? So going outwards, just like the Torii poles are doing. Um, I like the character here, even though I think it's a very basic Mixamo character, but it's a cool position for a character to be in. In this
Hmm.
case, it really emphasizes the image. So I really like that. My main issue with this image would be the water. because the ripples are huge.
Mm.
So the Torii gate is huge, right? That's fine. It could be huge. But if we see the character and assume the character is just a regular sized human being, then these ripples are basically very flat but ginormous waves. So these ripples, it's probably just a noise texture applied on like a bump, maybe added in on like a plane or something, which is perfect. That's the perfect way of doing water, very basically for any scene. But you have to match the skill again. So maybe 2 timesing or 3 timesing the skill here would have fixed the issue and made that just a little bit more realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree that's the first thing to be fair that I noticed when I just sat back down, is that the ripples on the water are quite large. Now you can, if you do want like big ripples, then you have to accommodate that with like the smaller ones that definitely happen with wind and sort of water surface tension. So you can just overlay another noise texture on top and make it smaller, and then with like a mixed color or something, if you wanted to just adjust how much that shows, you can do that. But no, I mean the lighting's lovely. The sun's, I mean that sort of
That's
dead
really
down the
nice.
center shot is really nice.
Yeah, especially the gradient here.
Yeah, that sort of dust effect in the sky. Affecting the sun.
People
really
commonly do these things, and then the sun is just one, flat bright orb.
Yeah.
But this fall off that you have going on here, that really sells the atmosphere of the planet, which is great. That's really good.
Yeah, and I think the all the sort of leading lines are really
good
too.
Exactly. There's
this is a really well composed image.
Just tons of good leading lines in here, so that's really well done as well.
Yeah.
Another quick tip on water is, especially big surfaces of water like this one, for example, they tend to not have the same noise pattern everywhere. So commonly wind moves not like in this, it's not like the whole country is covered in the same wind, right? It's small portions of a part of an area have certain types of wind. So it could be that the wind over here is going this direction, and the wind over here is going in this direction, and the wind over here is going there. And this will create differences in the noise pattern. So by adding in a little bit of randomness, or maybe even just flattening some parts out by adding in an additional noise texture, as like a multiply layer, for example, making sure there's no waves here, for example, and there's more waves here. There's just a very small touch that you can do to add in additional realism to your water scenes.
Yeah. And you can just use like a noise texture scaled really large to be a factor value between two different noise values to do that. But yeah, no, I think overall it's a very good render.
Yep, completely agree. All right, so the next one is called Artorias and the Death God by Atomic. Now, do you play Elden Ring?
I started it and then wasn't very good at it. So
or Dark Souls. I mean, Artorias is
from
Dark Souls.
Yeah, I played Dark Souls. This is not. It's nice. They've got a good sense of scale going on. The fog maybe is a little bit too heavy in places.
Yeah, it is. I like the way they did the fog because the fog feels very custom. There's movement in it here. There's rotation here. It feels very custom made for the environment that we're looking at. It's just too strong. It's taken away so much detail.
Yeah. I mean, the wisps and things are very ethereal. It's fits the whole fantasy vibe. I'd have maybe liked the fog to go across the water too.
Yes.
Because that's usually where fog actually sits. It's the temperature differential between the air and the water and below the water that causes that sort of mist. But I think the biggest problem I'm having with this right now is the sky texture looks a lot more low resolution than the rest of the scene. And it looks a bit blown out at the sun, and you can see the sort of highlights around. Just the clouds that sort of around the sun. Those highlight areas are definitely a bit too blown out.
I think it might be an image.
You think it's just like a backdrop, like JPEG or
Yes,
something?
I think
That's
it might
possible,
be
yeah.
plugged
Yeah, because
into
the
like an
lighting
emission
doesn't match up.
shader.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
clouds also feel like they're not entirely matching up the angle of the scene. Oh yeah, okay. So Atomic's in the chat, and he confirmed that's true.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the skies. The colors in the sky are beautiful. I would have liked to have seen those colors be emitted across the environment too. So, uh, pink hues, purple hues, just to give it that. Because right now the sky looks like it stands out from the environment. Um, but I mean, I can't fault the scale. They've nailed the scale. Stuff in the distance is definitely less contrasty than the stuff in the foreground. Um, just the fog in the sky is probably my biggest critique.
Yeah, I think overall it's a really cool piece. It's one of those
Mhm.
artworks where I would say it has all the ingredients to become, one of the better
Yeah,
ones, and it just needs that final touch to really get there.
yeah. It's a lot of this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to speak out of turn, but a lot of this is more the look at what I've done and effect, which is where you kind of make every cool part of it be shown because you want to show the people all of the great bits. But a lot of the time, some of that detail could just be washed out. Like we don't need the fog to be as prominent. Some of the stuff in the background could be hidden, and overall, it's a great piece, and it is like as you said, the ingredients for an even better piece. I think
Yeah,
toning some bits down and toning some bits up would be the fix for some of this.
exactly. I completely agree. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Thank you for your submission again, Atomic. There is a cat, yes, with armor. It seems like.
Yeah, I noticed that. Cool.
But yeah, thank you so much for your submission, and let's head on to the next one. All right, so this one is called "Basking in the Sunrise," and it was submitted by Ricci. Um, yeah. So first of all, the first thing that really grabs my attention is the foliage, which
Hmm.
looks quite good.
Hmm.
Um, I think one of the common issues with foliage is people tend to not use enough in a scene,
Yeah.
which makes it look 3D and barren, and that's not that's not a good thing. But here's definitely enough foliage. I do feel like the plants themselves, especially the flowers, could use a bit more subsurface scattering because the
Hmm.
leaves, like the petals, they feel dense, too dense for a flower. Um, but yeah, overall, it's a fun image. I think the character lacks a little bit in detail overall. Generally speaking, the dress, the what's this thing called? Blanket?
Yeah.
the
Oh my
pic
goodness, what
the
is it called?
picnic
Picnic
blanket.
blanket. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like it's just a very basic cloth. Um, what's it called? Cloth physics thing.
Yeah.
And it just lacks a little bit of detail. Like there would have to be more folds in here. And honestly, I would use these as sort of base meshes and then go into sculpting and just
Mhm.
add in so much more detail, folds and stuff like that, which will make it look more realistic. But overall, really cool image, very relaxing scene, and I like it.
Yeah, I think foliage-wise, they've nailed the sort of variance in what the foliage is because sometimes it's just either all grass or all plants. But we've got a nice breakup of what's going on here. Um, I agree. The character is probably the biggest part that's letting this image down.
Mm,
And it's not so much the character; it's more maybe the materials around the character. Like the dress would be there should be translucency on that dress, like you'd be able to see the shadows and stuff casting from the light
mm.
through the dress. And maybe the skin, I'm not entirely sure, but I think the skin looks a touch too plasticky.
Could be, yeah. It's really hard to get good
Hard to
looking
get it,
human
yeah.
skin. It's one of those things, right? If you want to add in a character in your scene, always be wary that the chances that this will create sort of this uncanny valley
Hmm.
look are incredibly huge.
Yeah. it is really hard to get in CGI.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think everything else is really good. I agree that Picnic Blanket could be higher resolution with a lot more folds in it.
Hmm.
If you're doing this in Blender, just go in sculpt mode, slap a multi-res on, and use the
Exactly.
cloth brush.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, really good. The lighting's great. I'd like to be there sunbathing in
Yeah,
that sun.
exactly. Exactly.
Some good work.
Yep. All right. So well done, Reedy. Absolutely. Okay, so this next one is called Beach Tranquility by Mr. Yes.
Okay.
It's a very different approach.
Very different approach, yeah.
The fun thing for me about this challenge, and it was something I really wanted to point out here, is that you guys submitted such different artworks. Like, this was one of the broadest submission challenges we've had so far, like ranging from space themed renders to like stuff like this, but also very fantasy style stuff. So that was really, really cool to see. Well done for being unique. Being unique is another very important skill to have,
Yeah.
because it enables you to stand out from the crowd. But this one, yeah, I mean, the water to me, it feels a little bit more like pool water, not like an ocean, for example. I'm not sure if you agree with that, but
yeah, I think what they could do to sort of round this image out is, and this isn't to say this was your approach, and this isn't to say it's not good, but the lower half of the image gives me a very like pop art style, and then the sky seems to not fit the image. If you had more of a pop art sky, I think it would tie this whole image together, and
That's
the
a good
critique
one.
of like the water looking like pool water wouldn't be so much an issue because
That's true.
it's stylized then.
Yeah.
It's a nice shot. I mean, we've got a beach floating in the
Basically, you
ocean,
could just
a
do the
beach ball
sky
floating
maybe in
the
one
ocean.
color, just have it be entirely
Just a
blue, and then
gradient,
have the sun, in this case, actually be just a yellow orb.
yeah. Just stylize it out. But no, I think overall, I mean, like, I like the bottom half of the image. I think that the style's really nice. I think that the vibe from that bottom half is fun. It's the sky that's letting it down a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And also another thing with water is that water tends to be more reflective the closer you get to it, like pointing your camera outwards, right? But if you look downwards to water, so the water below your feet, for example, should be transparent, and the water looking away from you should be reflective. And you can do this by sort of using a node setup, using light pads and stuff like that, to have the water over here be more transparent than the water over here, just to add in some additional realism, which wouldn't be a problem if you fully committed to the stylized stuff here.
Yeah. Overall, a good piece. Good effort.
Yeah.
You can tell that some thought and process went into this one.
Yep. I agree. All right, so the next one is Beauty of Simplicity, and I feel like this one by I think it was LWII64. Oh, we've lost True VFX. Where are you? Come back here. There you are again.
I disappeared. Yeah. I don't know what happened then.
No idea.
Gremlins. Someone's just chewing cables somewhere.
I think so. You're back. All right, so Beauty of Simplicity by LWI64. I'm getting very strong cyberpunk vibes from this. Or no, not cyberpunk. What's the Blade Runner? That's the
Blade Runner, yeah.
Blade Runner vibes, yeah. I like everything about this image except the scenery here.
Yeah.
And that's because these mountains, they just feel generic and CG. And honestly, you could have just removed them, have this be entirely blue, and it would have been fine.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe if you wanted something in the background there, you could have put something out like a spaceship or clouds, but those mountains. And Probably gonna kick myself if you used True Terrain for this. Then oops. But those mountains don't look. They don't fit the scene very well.
I mean, they're not terrible. It's just they lack foliage, for example,
Yeah,
and just a little bit of detail. And I know it's one of those things where your computer can easily run out of power, basically, to create
yeah,
high density looking mountains. Um, but yeah, you know, it's one of those things, right? This chair is obviously an asset, or at least I think it's an asset, but it feels very high quality, and then the
mhm,
mountains just feel like a different level of quality, and it mismatches.
yeah. I think the only other issue that I'm kind of wanting to pick on a little bit here is the concrete texture
Yeah,
on the wall
over
is
here. Yeah.
either stretched or overscaled. It does not line up with the resolution of the floor, which seems to be scaled down quite a lot in
Mm-hmm.
places. So I think this might just be a UV unwrapping problem. You've UV unwrapped and then scale
Yep.
modeled the object instead of reapplying scale at some point. But I think that texture on the wall is wrong. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
but I like the vibe. I like the sort of shot that you're trying to
Oh yeah,
show.
the mood is great. Yeah.
Yeah, just some fine tuning here and there, and you could have made sort of masterpiece level work.
Yeah, I agree.
Who's that? Dwight.
That's whenever somebody subs to the channel during the stream, and it's just a notification.
Awesome.
There's a few more actually. If people do a super chat, for example, but yeah, I always enjoy them. All right, so this next one is called. Well, I'm not sure what it's called. Bhishma. That's Bhishma. I don't know how to
Ishma?
pronounce this. Let me know in the chat if you do know. And it's submitted by the Jazz Denny. Yeah, it was one of the first artworks they made. I believe they said. Um, yeah, I'm not really too sure what to think of the image. I'm not really sure what's going on besides there clearly being a character there.
Hmm.
Um, this thing in the background here could be like a spaceship or something.
Yeah, the depth of field's the wrong way around here.
Yeah, I
Um,
would have changed it up as well.
yeah, like if you wanted to.
Oh, there goes Richard again. Richard. He's gone. F's in the chat for Richard. Let's see if we can get him back. We cannot. Where did he go? Yep. You disappeared again. And I can also not add him back in. But yeah, like he was sort of trying to explain here is that basically depth of field is um is sort of turned around wrong. So the focus is on the character, and I think the focus should be on whatever the character is looking at, because that's what you're trying to tell, right? This character is looking at something, so you want to keep the focus there, and then have the character be blurry just to show people that there's an actual character still there, for people to understand that there's a scene going on and this character is looking at something. So you want to lead people towards wherever you need to look at, and in this case the character is there to guide your audience to look at something.
You hear me?
Yes. Yeah, you're back.
Oh, okay, awesome. Hey, I don't know what happened then. I
Yeah,
think it
I
just
was just
disappeared again.
explaining basically what you meant with like the depth of field changing. So I went over that, but
Yeah. It's a tough one for you to get your head around sometimes, but the easiest way to think about it is show us what the character's looking at. Don't show us the character looking at something.
mhm.
Especially if you're showing the thing. Like I'm really interested in understanding what this thing is in the background and where it
Yeah.
is and what's going on. I don't really care too much that the character's looking at it. I want to see what it is.
Yeah. Also, if this is the sun, then
Hmm.
like from a physics standpoint, I think this planet, either this sun needs to be incredibly cool, or this is
Yeah.
like one of the hottest places in the universe,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
that's a huge ass sun.
Yeah, that's a big K series star. Like we that needs to be super red if it's that big.
Yeah, but it's like a very geeky point.
Oh, my
Oh,
iPhone's not thinks I'm talking to Siri now. Oh, today the Gremlins today, guys. I'm so sorry. Yeah, no,
all
I
right.
think yeah, it's a good image.
It's still
for
it's
the way
still
it comes out.
a great attempt, and there's obviously a lot for you to still learn, but that's that's part of the
Part of the
fun, right?
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Good job on you for submitting, anyways. All right, so this next one is called Blissful Silence by Salt Mines. And again, I have to point out, which is a shame because it's another
Uh-huh.
amazing one, that I had to add in these black bars myself. So the image here is not the correct aspect ratio. And therefore, we cannot include it as one of the prize winners.
Oh no. Read the brief, guys. Come on.
Yes. Nonetheless, though, this is an amazing image.
It is a very good image. It's
Yeah.
a really good image.
Which is why it's such a shame.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not a whole lot I can fault for this image. The lighting is amazing. I love the washed
Mhm.
out, blown out parts here. Really selling that sort of dystopian, dusty vibe that's usually common in these types of shots. But there's still plenty of detail going on. All the
Mhm.
foliage, the city being overgrown. There's a character here. There's wrecked cars, there's signs, there's something biohazard going on, there's a torn up American flag. It's basically everything an image needs to be a dystopian image, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting real like Division 1 vibes here.
Yeah.
Or Last of Us vibes.
Last of Us, exactly.
It's really good. I mean, the lighting nailed the lighting. That exponential fog is great for showing the scale of this city.
Yes.
And that's kind of touching back on the one before with the guy on the bench. Like, this city isn't the distance between us and that building is probably like a couple of 100 meters.
Yeah,
we're
probably.
seeing that scale.
Not too far, for sure.
Yeah, but we're seeing that scale get shown, and this is what we're talking about when we say you're lacking that in any that we've mentioned where it's lacking. This is, you can do this. This is fine. Like, it doesn't have to be like miles away for it to be blared out. Like, it can just be a couple of 100 yards, feet, whatever it is, for you to show this. And they've done a really good job with it here. I love the environment. I love the attention to detail. There's one thing I don't like. I don't like I don't know if they've put a blur filter on or if it's dispersion, but on the two foreground lampposts, they kind of look like they're in motion.
Yes. It could be.
I don't know if that's a weird blur filter or something's going on.
The camera is actually in motion, so this
could
be
like
just
a pan
part
or
of an
something that's
animation.
going on. But maybe for a still, take that out.
Yes.
But other than that, I mean, you nailed the vibe. Textures seem scaled correctly. Nothing seems out of place. No, good effort. Really good effort.
Yeah, it's really a shame the resolution is not on brief here, because this could have been one of the winners for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, well done, Salt Mines. It's obvious you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's really good. Well done. Keep at it. And next time, submit the proper resolution.
Right resolution.
And, you might be one of the winners. But I would love to see you participate again. I hope this doesn't sort of...
yeah, don't let this discourage you.
Yeah, that's the word. Exactly. Absolutely. All right. So next one is called California 2027 by Shrilesh.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you've seen anime.
Yeah.
But this is like Akira to me.
Yeah, this is it's also kind of giving me the recent cyberpunk anime vibes that
I haven't seen that.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's quite good as far as animes go, it's up there.
Okay.
I like it. I don't know if I like it as a piece.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how well it does for this specific brief, if that makes
I
sense.
agree. Completely agree.
It's a very cool piece. The stylization's really nice. The art style that you've got going on, the sort of monotone lighting, but it's not flat. Like, you've used a color palette, like red is your color palette, but you've not flattened the image out, which is a really good sign.
Yeah.
I just don't know how well it fit. Get rid of that lens flare. That lens flare is totally out of.
You don't need it.
Yeah, you don't need that for what you've got going on. But other than that, the
You
piece
could probably
is really
even
nice.
turn it up in terms of just going harder on the contrast here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, go sort of like ink style. Really black blacks.
Exactly that. But I agree with you that this might not be the most. This is not the embodiment of Sunrise Serenity.
No, but that doesn't mean it's a bad piece. This is a really nice
no, it's a
piece.
very artistic, stylistic piece. So that's just job well done.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like that this is sort of showing that with minimal models and minimal lighting, but just with a good setup and artistic view, you can go quite far as for creating a cool looking image.
Yeah.
You don't need fancy assets. You don't need all the realistic stuff. If you have artistic vision, yeah, that's like half the work done. All right, so this next one is called Climb Up the Hill by Sanjay.
Okay. Do you want to take it away, or do you want me to go first?
I can start. So I kind of like the image, generally speaking, right? I think there's sort of a nice angle going on here with the river sort of turning around this corner here, the camper van going up here, some leading lines here. But I have to say the foliage in this image feels a bit lackluster. These trees seem very small to me. They're more like shrubs, if you will.
Yeah.
And they're all very much identical, which you can tell. Also, the parts where the trees or shrubs or whatever they are aren't visible, it just feels like a very plain rock. There's no grass, there's no other foliage. Just adding in some of these assets that you've used here over on this side would have made these mountains so much better. And also here the water, the scale. Again, assuming these are trees, the water needs to be smaller in scale.
Yeah, I agree. It's a hard thing for people to grasp. Scale is quite a hard. If we're talking about scale, don't feel disheartened. It's not the easiest concept to understand because you're working in a conceptualized space, so you can easily get scale wrong, and you can very easily get it right. It's just understanding that, and it's not a knock when we say the scale's wrong. It's not a very easy thing to grasp. When you get it, it makes sense. I think the asset variation, and not in terms of like the assets used, but I mean in terms of like, see the grass on the right, they've got varying scales in them, like, so it's the same piece, but it's been scaled randomly. You could add a hue saturation node to this and plug the object random in and just get it to vary each actual object instance. The same with the trees. If this is sort of a single asset that you've used and then built your own geometry node scatter setup, just throw the object node in and plug the random into a HSL value or something, and you can get different colors, different saturations of the same asset, so it'll look more random if you're limited to one asset. I think the lighting should be flipped. Like in this one, I think maybe if the lighting was coming from the other direction, we'd get a bit more contrast. We'd
From
get a bit
behind
more.
the camper van here, basically, from this side.
Yeah, yeah. Sort of coming from right to left instead of left to right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might give a bit more contrast to the overall image, make it more dramatic if
Yep.
you were going for a dramatic look. But overall, it's not bad. I think
Oh, absolutely not. No.
the terrain, like the mountain in the background, needs more textures on it, needs more materials on it.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just one texture, or at least one color, which is a problem.
Yeah.
But overall, it's not. There's a lot of work's gone into making this and setting this up. So great effort on actually building the scene.
Yeah, absolutely, and trying to tell this story here, right?
Yeah, the story is it's a guy looking out over with his camper van, or like
Yeah,
someone said in chat,
I heard Breaking Bad. I haven't seen Breaking Bad, but
yeah, no, good effort, I think.
yeah, sure. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next one, which is called Coffee Time by L42W. All right, so I've seen the what's it called, the clay render for this image,
Mm-hmm.
and when I first saw this image, I kind of didn't believe it was an actual render. I thought it was like a Photoshop thing,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even an AI art piece, but it's not. Like everything you see is actual meshes inside of the render, right?
Amazing.
Which is kind of crazy. And the thing here for me is that you aimed to achieve such realism that you kind of went overboard with it.
Broke it a bit, yeah.
And I'm not sure why, which might be an issue on my part, but I there's something about this image which is unsettling to me.
So I agree, and I think so. Yeah, this is a tricky one to. The first thing is that human is hyper realistic. Like
Yes.
I honestly thought that was a photo bash. Like you.
Yes,
cut out
exactly.
a
I thought it was a
picture of a
cutout
human.
too, but it's an actual mesh.
So that's the level of realism that is now, like, that's the bar now. The background, so everything from like sort of the what has she stood on, like a canopy, or oh my goodness, what do you call that thing, like balcony? She stood the balcony, so everything from the balcony out is where there's a difference in that quality, and I don't know what the difference is, but that's where this sort of uncanny valley is hitting, because everything, even the cat on the bed, like the cat on the bed looks like you've just.
It's a photo
is that
scan.
cat?
It's a photo scan.
Yeah, that's wild. Like it looks like you've just cut out like a cat, like you took a
Image,
picture of a cat
yeah,
and then
yeah.
put it in there. So I think it's too real.
Yeah,
in
I agree.
places, and that kind of breaks the overall image. But I mean, damn, if I've ever seen a human that looked that good before, I don't think I have.
That's really good. I'm curious where they if they made it or if they found this somewhere, but it's a really good looking human model.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah.
But if maybe we should talk about like the lighting and stuff. Like sunrise wise, you've done a very good job too.
Oh yeah, it's definitely sunrise serenity. Yeah.
Overall, it's a good image.
Yeah, I think it's just not all there. So
yeah, there's just something. I can't put my finger on it, but there is
exactly. It's a really good effort, and the only feedback I can truly give you is, try again with the same ingredients, but somehow make it less realistic or something.
yeah.
That's basically it. But a job well done, and especially a great job for fooling all of us in thinking that these were just cutouts. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next one, which is called Confusion at Sunrise Alpha Legend 13. I think the composition of this image is quite nice. The lighting is also quite nice. I believe this model is from somewhere in the internet. I'm not sure I remember where anymore, but I believe this place offers very, very, very realistic models, like for example this cute pig model here.
Hmm.
The foliage looks quite nice, so I think it's a very nice image. It just doesn't scream sunrise serenity for me.
No, and that's a shame because like the actual image is borderline photoreal. Like and we're not like breaking uncanny valley or anything here. Like this is a
Yeah.
very good image. You could pass this off to an untrained eye as a photograph. Like the amount of grain in the image, the noise, the lighting, um, really, really good. It just isn't sunrise, um, or doesn't evoke any sort of sunrise feelings in me.
No, for me neither. So that's my main issue with this image. It's basically not that it's a bad image, it's a great image. It just does not, invoke the challenge prompt in me.
Hmm.
There was no proof for this one. Okay. um I forgot that, to be honest. I gave you 3D, but I know for a fact that you can get this pig model because I've seen it in other renders as well. So I believe it's an actual 3D render. I'm sure of that, but it's, yeah, like I said, good image, just not on brief entirely.
Hmm.
The little pig is very cute and could be a sunrise for someone. That's definitely true, Radical. That's definitely true. All right, so this next one is called Countryside Sunrise by Dylan. I
Okay.
really like the color in this one.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
I
no,
think
I like
it's
the color
really
palette
good.
here.
Yeah. My
Um,
issue with this one would be framing. So I like that you tried to show as much sky as possible. And you have this foreground element here with this blurry grass. You have these sort of electricity poles and the car. But cutting off the car like this, I don't know, but it makes the image look kind of weird to me. I would have definitely added in a few more centimeters of image
yeah,
underneath
you have no
here.
breakpoint or border now in the image, which is
Yes.
weird.
Yeah. It sort of feels like you need to scroll down to see the entire image on this one,
Hmm.
um, which is not the best. So what I basically would do in this image is just change the focal length, which also helps sell a little bit more of the depth and dramaticness of this image.
Yep.
Just make it smaller. And that's it. That would basically be the entire fix for this image. And I think besides that, the glass here on the car doesn't feel very glass like. I think this is a photo scan as well.
Yeah. That photo scan looks like, I could be wrong, but it looks like the guys over at Creative Shrimp. Like, was it
Oh yeah, could
the
be.
ones that they did?
Yeah,
And yeah, the biggest problem is that the framing's kind of off.
yeah,
And I think with just a focal length change, you would dramatically increase the overall quality of this image.
yeah.
Um, the color palette's really nice. The lighting's
Sky's
really
amazing.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. The power lines. I mean,
I'm curious how they did the sky actually.
yeah. I mean, the clouds look volumetric. I could be wrong, but the clouds look volumetric.
They do, but it could
Um,
still technically be an image or an HDRI, which is just used well.
yeah, yeah, could be. But I think overall you've done a really good job. Just pull the focal length back a bit. Just
Yeah,
get everything back in frame.
yeah, exactly. And Atomic says this looks more like a sunset. It kind of does. I agree. Then again, sunset serenity or sunrise serenity. It's a bit of a potato to me, personally.
Yeah, or it could just be in a very polluted area because you get that pink from pollution in the
Yeah.
skies.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's cool. They could probably have even overdone it more with the pink, make it more stylized in that sense,
Hmm.
almost like an album cover or like an artwork. But yeah, cool
Yeah.
submission. All right, so this next one is called Daybreak by Ruby. Now, this is exactly what I meant when I said before that you guys sort of went all over the place with the submissions. Um, this when I saw, I was like, oh damn, that's such a creative way of saying sunrise serenity.
Yeah.
It's such a good, such a vibe as well, like being in space and then seeing the sun rise essentially over the entire earth. It's such a
Mhm.
flex on like everybody else who's just looking at some clouds and stuff.
Yeah, they pulled the focal length way back for this one. The whole
Yes.
planet in.
Focal length 0.00001 or
Yeah,
something.
right. No, this is a really creative twist on the whole sunrise side of it. I think they've nailed. I mean, the render's really good. This is definitely a model.
Yeah.
And perfect use of lens flares too.
Mhm.
You know, the lens flare doesn't get in the way of what you're trying to show us, but it's there. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
I really like this.
Everything looks good. I mean, the plant looks good. The clouds look good. Yeah,
The
it's just
mesh
a
is to
really
scale.
good model. Yeah, the mesh is to scale. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, well done. Not a whole lot I can say about this one.
No, yeah, good effort.
Creative. Well done. All right, so this next one is called Distant Heights by Mugen or Mugen. Not sure how to pronounce that, but yeah, this one is stunning. At least I think so.
No, I agree. This is very, very nice.
I'm getting like Halo vibes and Horizon Zero Dawn vibes and like all of these, I don't know, games which are very great looking games in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to like find something I can nitpick about, but I don't really think there is.
I mean,
Like this.
I could nitpick about the characters,
I mean,
like
yeah,
the one being an astronaut with like a full body astronaut suit and the other just being a girl in a skirt.
yeah. I think I've seen that like that's somewhere else too. Like, isn't this not like a Capcom game that's like that where you're a
mm,
astronaut and then your partner's just like a little girl that's not in a spacesuit and you're on some weird space planet. I'm sure there was a game that was released recently like this. I think the if I was to be super nitpicky, the biggest problem I have right now with this image is the fact that that butterfly is moving at like 100 miles per hour for that amount of motion blur.
That's true. Somebody said that the motion blur, they like it. I like motion blur too, but now that you mention it, butterflies don't tend to flap their wings fast enough for there to be motion blur.
Yeah, but other than
I
that,
mean, yeah, well, could be like a bit of very, very low shutter speed, maybe, but
yeah, it could be low shutter speed or it's like an alien butterfly that like flaps its wings very fast.
yeah, the colors are great in this image, though.
Yeah, the color theories are like really good work here.
Yeah.
Those pastel tones on the
Oh,
horizon,
perfect.
really good.
Yeah.
The ripples in the water, nailed it.
Yeah. My main issue with this image, if I had to choose something, would be the sort of repetition in the trees. You can see there's like only one or two tree models.
Yeah, and this, no matter how much scaling and rotation that you do, you will start to pick the patterns out.
Yeah,
we're very good
for
at
sure.
picking patterns out as humans.
But
so
you can also see that, you know, doing the volumetric stuff, doing the color stuff, and doing all the other things properly takes so much of that pain away from seeing the repetition.
yeah,
it just
really
breaks
nice.
it up.
Yeah, it does. It gives it a good sense of scale too. Like those trees look like those rock formations look miles away and they look massive.
Yes.
You've done a really
Skills
good job
well
with
done.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So well done, Mugen, and we're gonna move on to our next one, which is called Dreamy Awakening by Aishi Geek. They expressed that they sort of took the prompt very literally, which, you know, we can see that. There's the sun and there's the word serenity.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun piece. The color is very nice. I like the stylistic look that it has. Um, yeah, I mean, you definitely went for an unrealistic approach, so I can't really fault it for anything in terms of, you know, making it look more realistic or less realistic. I think overall this is a quite a good submission.
Yeah, really, really good. I think if you're not already, maybe you should work in like product renders,
Yeah,
because like this is a really nice sort of take on showcasing the word serenity is so literal and so bizarre that I would never have thought of it, but it fits really well in this. Like everything
yeah,
that you've done around it makes the bubble writing look really cool. Um, and I think you could probably take that over in like product renders and product promos.
yeah. It's a cohesive image,
Very
even though
much,
it's a
yeah,
very strange approach.
yeah. So yeah, we can't really critique it on things not looking realistic because there's a giant word in the middle. But overall, no, I really like it. I love the color palette. The color palette's
Yeah,
really nice.
I agree. I agree. For sure. All right, so well done, IG Geek. Next one is called Elysian Reverie by Mr. Salty McNugget. Now, I would like to begin by saying that I feel like some of you take these Discord names just so I have to pronounce them on stream to hundreds of people, which is I'm not thankful for that.
No,
But yeah,
great troll.
Mr. Salty McNuggets, you made a quite a good image here. I kind of like it.
Yeah,
Again, my main issue with this image would be skill,
hmm
and you did quite a good job by making all these waterfalls feel like they're very big, having the sort of flying boat up here, having the trees. Um, but then there's these chains, and they feel like they're almost too big. Although what I really like is that you put some characters on there, so there's characters on the chains to show the skill of the chain.
yeah,
But still, somehow scaling feels a little bit off.
yeah. I think again, it kind of goes back to like the bigger something is, the more detail that it has.
Hmm.
Like maybe there's not enough greebly effect going on with the scales or the scale bridge.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, like those finer details, and then as things become bigger, you see like big variations and stuff. Like if you fly really high up and you look down at the ground, it's not one green. Like there's loads of different colors of green if you're
Hmm.
looking at the earth. And again, this is something that would happen here with like a chain this big, where it's thousands of times bigger than
Yeah.
human. You'd get a lot of color variation, but it'd be like subtle variations going on. I think the waterfalls, from a visual point of view, I really like them. If you were wanting to be a bit more realistic, then as water falls, like from wherever, it starts to just become mist. So like halfway down these waterfalls, really would just be a lot of mist and steam. But I really like it. I really like the whole image.
Yeah, it's very creative again.
Yeah, and again, the character at the front, going back to the one we spoke about earlier with the spaceship and the man that was in focus, we have a very clear example of what should be done with characters looking at things here. Like this person on the bottom left is out of
Yes.
focus, and the thing that they're looking at is in focus, and that's the right way to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And this model of this building here is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Overall,
well
very
done.
good.
Yeah, great submission. Well done. I'm not gonna say your name again. So well done, you. All right. So next one. You know what I'm going to say. First of all,
Oh no.
yes.
Have we got another one out of dimensions?
Yes, and it's another one that's really good. And
Really
I
good.
don't know why that everybody who made great submissions sort of failed to do the proper the resolution. I don't know why. Because this is such a good image again.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I love everything about this image. The building is so quaint. All these
Mhm.
branches and leaves and green stuff on the roof is so nice. The foliage is amazing. The contrast with this white sort of garden furniture set is amazing. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
shame.
very like old English cottage vibes.
Yes. Yeah,
I
with a
really
bit of
really like it.
fantasy, bit of Lord of the Rings, maybe.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, you've nailed this render. This is like, this is top quality work. And like, if you flipped it on the side, it might be the right resolution,
Yeah.
but it's the wrong resolution again. What is it with all of these
I don't
peak
know, man.
renders being the wrong size?
I don't know. I don't know. This would have probably been my favorite.
Yeah, this is so far like top three for me. This is really nice. Oh goodness.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Read the details, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Such a shame. No, well, I mean, yeah, I can't fault it for anything. So it's just good. I can
Yeah.
only fault it for the resolution, which makes it a very easy disqualification. So, um, yeah, shame. It's a shame. Let's move on to the next one. Let's hope that's another contender. All right, so this one is called "Good Morning" by Panim, and I think this is a fun little image.
Hmm.
The thing for it, first of all, is it's blown out.
Yeah.
So inside of Blender, if you go to color management and you change it from default AGX currently to false color, you
Yeah.
get this sort of view, which is ranging from, I believe, white to black, but with all the colors in between, like basically the entire rainbow spectrum. And you will probably see that a lot of this image is either white or red, basically meaning it's overexposed.
Yeah.
If stuff is black or purple or dark blue, it's underexposed. So these parts over here, for example, they would be underexposed, which makes sense. They need to be underexposed. But yeah, a lot of this is overexposed, which is a shame because you're losing detail if you over or underexpose something.
Yeah, that is a problem, and the false color LUT is very underused. It is so powerful. It gives you a heat map of the image, so you can see
Yeah.
where things are. Now, that's not to say like you can't have any white spots. Like if you're
Oh
looking
no,
at the sun,
you need
you would have the
some.
white spots.
Yes.
But like there are definitely areas of this which are blown out, like the rock faces that are
Yeah,
oblique and facing
sure.
where the sunlight
Yeah.
is. They're too bright.
They're white, essentially.
Yeah, so you lose
Yeah.
all of the detail and you lose all of the colors in that too. And the
Yeah.
other big problem with this is not so much the scale of things, but it's the depth of field that you've put on the camera, which makes everything look miniature.
Yeah, it gets that tilt blur. What's it called? Tilt blur, tilt shift.
Tilt shift, yeah.
Yeah, tilt shift effect,
Um,
which could be a fun approach, but in this case, it's not done intentionally and how it should look like.
yeah,
So the depth of field just feels like you're saying it's thrown off the scale again.
yeah. But I mean, in terms of like the work that's gone into this and the actual idea behind it, you know, you've got a really nice setup. Building is framed well. You've got the trees, maybe a bit more trees that could be across the environment. There's a ton of grass, so hats off to you for rendering that. My computer would have been on fire with that. Yeah, but I think just those two things, if you can address the exposure issues and you can address the problem with focus, you'll be able to then work on everything else that you need to work on instead of having to worry about like overexposing things and stuff like that.
Yep.
Add some birds. Yeah, some birds would be nice. Yeah.
Yep. Well done. Though still for making a pretty cool looking render, just changing the exposure would have fixed a whole lot of this. So well done.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. Greetings, Mr. Sun by what's Bergelmer? Bergelmer.
Oh yeah,
Bergelmer.
Yeah.
Bergelmer.
Yeah, he's one of our Discord.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I played a lot of Skyrim back in the day.
I was just about to say this.
This is very nostalgic to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this image a lot. It's good. There's a bunch of stuff going on. It's a pretty full image. But I don't mind that particularly. maybe this card could have moved a little bit to the left and the character have a little bit more empty space to breathe in on this
Yeah.
right side here. But yeah, overall, you know, great piece. Well done.
Yeah, no, this is a really good piece. I don't think. I mean, there are things we can nitpick, like the normal map on the tree seems to be non-existent on the bark a little bit.
Mm,
But I mean, like the composition, the scene that you've built here is really, really good. And this is kind of really nice for me to see because I've known Bergelmir now for like 5-6 years, and he's
yeah.
come such a long way with his work.
Oh, that's so amazing.
So this is awesome to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, good effort. I really like this.
Yeah, it feels, you know, very much like a video game, and
Yeah.
I personally enjoy that. Christian says, I took an arrow to the knee there. Exactly. Would have
Oh,
been
goodness.
amazing if this guy had an arrow in his knee.
Yeah.
Instant win there. Yeah, well done, Bergelmir. Well done. All right, next one is called It's Looking Up by Isaac Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Another very different approach here.
Mm-hmm.
A unique take, I think. I'm not seeing, you know, like a technical sunrise here.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, we do have this strong light here, and the sunrise could just, you know, be completely polluted because of whatever happened to Earth here. And that's another fun, unique way of looking at this. So I do appreciate that unique vision here. Overall, the image is quite good. There's quite a lot of detail going on. It feels like an apocalyptic city pretty well. Skills there, you know, blurriness, depth of field, stuff like that. Everything is there basically. Fire is cool. Character is decent enough and doesn't detract or, you know, look overly realistic compared to the rest of the image. So yeah,
Yeah.
good submission.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this book looks more like Moonrise Serenity, just based on the color temperature of the environment.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I think overall it's a very good image. I think focal points are good. You've got them. Nothing's too distracting. Again, like Jesse said, the person is just far enough away for us to believe that they're a person.
Yeah.
And not have to be like super hyper realistic and take away from the image. So
exactly.
really good effort.
Yeah, it's not under a whole lot of scrutiny if you use your characters in a smart way.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. All right, next one is called Jungle Sanctum, the Ancient Makahal Temple by Gumku007.
It's a mouthful.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I think, you know, it's definitely a decent attempt here. You know, trying to mix different textures here, having this layered wooden paneling going on with the intricate opening at the same time. The components are there. It's just, it needs a little bit more love for it to really shine, I think.
Yeah, it's sort of technical skill that's letting this one down a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think it's artistic vision in any way. It's just a case of refining your craft. You're clearly very good at what you're doing, so work more on that and start to refine it. Use reference images. Can't say this enough to people. Use reference images for things.
Yes.
Because you'll just get a better understanding of like how light works, how materials work, how the environment should look. But no, I think you've done a good start.
Yep.
I would like to have seen a bit more color theory going on. We've got a lot of blue and green going on in here, and that yellow just isn't enough to offset the rest of it.
Yeah. And again, you could use a bit more breathing space here, a bit more room up top, a little bit more room on the left. Show the entire temple.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah. Good effort, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. Well done. Oh, okay. So this is the thumbnail or the image I used for the thumbnail. So, you know, I'm probably a little bit biased, but My God, I like this one.
This
It's
is a nice
so
piece of
good.
work.
It's so good. It's yeah. That's basically my feedback. It's so good.
Yeah, no,
That's
this
it.
is a really good piece
I'm
of
done.
work. I don't have anything to critique. I mean, the sparsity and also density of things on the ground
Yeah.
is so realistic.
Yes.
You've nailed that. Um, and the lighting in general is just top tier. Um,
Yeah. There's God
I
rays. You get the sunrise, but there's also still nice blue in there.
Yeah, and the fall off, like we can see the trees even in the background are starting to like sort of disappear into the haze.
Mm-hmm.
This is really, really nice. Um, I don't have anything bad to say, and I
Yeah,
don't
me
really know
neither.
what else to say other
I'm
than
I'm I'm not sure if
amazing.
I completely understand the story here, but
Yeah, I mean, like, we've got a couple of space people or
yeah, and a Big
pilots or
Mac.
something,
There's
big
a Big
mech, and
Mac.
then
A Big Mac, lol.
someone big.
We mean a
um,
big robot by Big Mac, not like the hamburger.
yeah, not a Big Mac. No, I'm having flashbacks to salty McNuggets. Um,
Yeah.
but no, it's amazing, amazing piece of work. Well done.
Yep. 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 Um, we're just gonna move on to the next one because I think we can both agree there's not a whole lot we can say besides giving this more praise. So, um, well done, Under. Great job. Oh, and we lost Richard again. Yeah, Richard liked it so much that he just had to dip out for a bit.
Yeah, just a nanosecond.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna move on to the next one. Um, this one is called "Light Before the Fog" by Sandals Consumer. Another stellar name there.
What is it with Discord and it just
Oh
brings
yeah,
sun out on
I don't
people
know.
with the names, doesn't
I
it?
don't know. It's so weird. Okay, so I think the lighting in this image is really nice.
Mhm.
I think the foliage in this image is also really nice, but the trees um they're sort of too small. The leaves are huge. So for example, if we pair up one of these leaves to, for example, the saddle of this bicycle here,
Mhm.
and they're roughly the same size, so that means they're, you know, huge leaves, as well as leaves tend to begin pretty high up in trees.
Yeah.
Only in trees which don't grow in forests and have room to breathe and catch light on every angle of a tree, leaves tend to grow lower on like the what's it called, the stem.
Oh, the
What is-
trunk.
the trunk, that's the word. Yes, not the stem. The trunk. So they tend to grow lower, but trees in a forest, they have to fight with each other for light and oxygen, so they tend to put up their leaves as high as possible. That's it. I mean, that's basically my main feedback for the image. Overall, I think it's quite a good piece.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would like to have seen a bit more here is more intense light, a bit more exposure in the light areas, just to sort of give it that like early morning sort of golden hour beam. But I think I can't really critique it other than yeah, the scale of the trees is a bit off, but maybe that's a stylistic choice.
Could be, yeah,
Composition wise, it's really nice. You know,
yeah.
the thing
Nice
that we're supposed to
foreground.
be looking at's visible.
Yep,
You've done a really good job.
yep. I agree. Cool. All right, so the next one. Oh yes, okay, I remember this one. It's another extremely creative approach. So
Mm,
Sunrise Serenity, in this case, it's called Morning Class by Gizmo, and we're looking at a bunch of suns,
yeah,
learning how to be a sun, and there's actual, information on the
on
whiteboard
the
there.
whiteboard. Yeah,
Yeah,
I really like it.
such a unique take.
Yeah, this is actually really fun. Um, and is one of them drinking a can of hydrogen? Are they drinking bottles of
Yes,
hydrogen?
yes, they
That's
are.
amazing. That is amazing. Oh, hats off.
And there's a bunch of
Um,
helium here as well.
yeah, hats off. That's really nice. Um,
And there seems to be like mountains with sun and stuff, maybe about shadows and stuff like that.
yeah, I think yeah, there is. Oh man, this is a really cool render.
Yeah. Technically it's not the best we've seen. Some or it's good, right? But there's also some things which just don't look the same amount of realistic as other parts of the image. The suns look actually quite good.
Yeah,
But for example, the ceiling, it's just a little bit low poly, and some of the textures don't really match and stuff like that. But creatively speaking, this image is top notch.
yeah. I mean, it's a great story. I love what it's conveying. I really love what it's conveying. I love all of the little sort of Easter egg jokes
Yes.
everywhere. I think you've done a really good job of like putting your own spin on it.
Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah. You know what? What's a good point to make for this image is that you can make an image which doesn't necessarily look the most amazing, but still have people watch it for long lengths of time just because
Mhm.
you're putting in so much fun.
Yeah,
And that makes it sometimes even better than an image which might look 10 times better, but just does not have anything to tell.
yeah, yeah. That's
Because
true.
an image
100%.
is basically a story that you want to tell. And if your image is not conveying a story, then even a bad image with good story will always be better than a good image with no story.
Yeah, agree. 100%.
Well done, Gizmo. Thanks for making us laugh here. All right, next one is called Mountain Chill by Jabobo. Very creative take again. Love the idea. Going hiking, waking up, looking out from your tent. Yeah, all of the parts look quite good. I think it looks a little bit like a video game. The sort of density on everything could
Hmm.
maybe be a little bit better. I could imagine.
Yeah, I would say if you're gonna be this close to things like for
Mm.
example, this blanket,
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe throw a hair system on it just to get those fine sort of cotton wool hairs coming through.
Yeah.
Um, outside of that, I mean, it's nice. It tells a good story. We're watching. I mean, it kind of feels like you're reading the book at sunset because I don't know how many people read the book first thing in the morning, and maybe that's just a cultural thing. Like we usually read books before we go to bed. But no, I don't think there's anything really bad to say about this.
Yep, I agree. It's a pretty
It's
fun idea again. A unique take.
Yeah, it is very unique take, very nice sort of way to put your spin on it.
Yep, well done, Jabobo. That sounds like a dog.
It is a dog shaking. Yeah.
All right, so this next one is called Mountain Mornings Beneath the Sunrise by Chris 4. I believe Chris expressed that this was made for Lost Loved Ones, which is a great sentiment, of course. I think, like, if you squint your eyes at this image, it's really nice.
Hmm.
But if you don't, and you see it, in full scale, you can see the CG-ness of the image a little bit. For example, the grass over here, it seems very repetitive, and you can also see it just stops here, which is probably just a limitation of your hardware, but still, in an image, that doesn't look the best. And you can always fix that by having things rendered in separate render layers, where you can just save some VRAM and still render all of these things out in separate render layers and then combine them in post. Yeah, I think, again, squinting at this image, I really like the vibe that it's giving me, but overall it needs a little bit more work for it to really be a great image.
Yeah, no, I really like it. I think there are some technical challenges which sometimes are not easy to overcome, like the repetition of the grass, the density of things. Um, I would like to see the framing a little bit differently. Um,
Mm,
we've kind of got like a very vertical line, diagonal line that runs from bottom right to
yes.
just above the mountain, and that kind of guides our eyes. But I think overall, what you're trying to show is good. I just wish there was more of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay. Well done, Chris. Keep at it for sure. And it's at least obvious that you have a sense of um, direction when it comes to like telling a story
Yeah.
visually and lighting and stuff like that. You just need some more practice in getting things to that pro level, I think.
Hmm.
All right, next one is called Mountain Sunrise by Diefenbecker. I think this is a pretty
Okay.
cool piece. Um, I like the lighting here. I like the depth of field. Again, birds. There's a lot of birds in these submissions.
Yeah.
Overall, looks quite nice. The main thing for me would be the usage of assets here. So the grass is quite versatile and looks quite good, but the
Hmm.
rocks feel like they're a bit similar. There also could have been more rocks, I feel like, especially in the grass, like small pebbles and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but I mean, overall, uh, great image. The mountains feel a bit like they could, like, this feels a bit too reflective, for example. You could use a bit more foliage on there, for example, as well.
Yeah. Um, even just like if you can't dump a million 3D trees onto a scene, try and use billboards if that's
Yes.
possible.
Yeah.
Um, just to give a little bit more density, because I think that's probably the only thing that's lacking here. Is
Mm-hmm.
definitely some vegetation in the background. I can't tell if it's just what I'm like my end or not, but is there like compression or artifacts in the sky?
There could be over here, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the color, like the banding and
Maybe.
the clipping, but I'm not entirely sure what that is there. But I mean, overall, it's a very good render. I like the lighting in general, like how it's sort of kissing the edges of the mountains and sort of the rocks just at the edge of the foreground.
Yep.
Um, Good rim lighting going on there.
These ones here. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely.
um,
Well done.
yeah. No, good effort.
Yeah, completely agree. All right, this next one is called My Best Render by Olaf GMD. Um, it's all Legos, so that's really cool. I love Legos,
Yeah,
so the
this is
style
cool.
for this one is really, really nice. Overall, though, I feel like this should have been submitted like several months ago in my Winter Wonderland um, challenge because I don't really get those sunrise vibes from it.
No, no, I don't get any sunrise vibes, and that's a shame because this is really nice. Like this is a fun piece. This is really fun to look at. Um,
Yep,
Maybe a bit too much clutter in the foreground, like,
maybe. Yeah. Also,
but and
also the focal point, like the part that's sharp in the image,
mhm.
it's not this truck, and it should have been.
Yeah, it's somewhere like in between
I
the
think
truck
it's
and
over here, maybe somewhere, or over here. I'm not entirely sure, but it should have been the truck.
yeah. And this is maybe one of the more problematic things with using something like Lego is like you're gonna get a lot of visual noise just because of the individual bricks.
Yeah,
So try and reduce the amount of clutter if you're adding that noise in.
yeah, and I feel like these black parts are maybe transparency issues, so up the transparency bounces
Yeah,
just to make sure that this is not just a rendering artifact from cycles.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's a fun little render.
Yeah, for sure.
Just misses the beat on a couple of things.
Yep, I agree. Well done. All right, next one is called None But the Birds. Again, birds by Pop Gun.
I like this.
I like it too.
Popcorn's in my server as well,
Oh,
and again, their work has increased tenfold since they started. I might be overstepping, but I think this is True Sky and True Terrain 5. They might have to correct me. but no, this is really nice. This is maybe I would like to see a bit more brightness in the sky, so we get a lot more contrast between the sky and the environment.
Yeah.
But it's a good start for what could be a top tier render.
Yeah, I agree. It's basically 80% of the way there for me.
Yeah, it just looks a little underexposed.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fine to blow out
It's
the
maybe a
sunlight
bit
if the
too
sun needs
warm
to
as
clip.
well.
Yeah, and that blue that's in the sky, because it's underexposed, we're not getting a lot of visual contrast in the colors either. But
Yeah.
the colors are there, so kind of
Yes.
just increase the brightness overall, maybe
Yeah.
increase the contrast, and you're pretty much on it.
Yep, I agree. Well done, Bob Gun, for sure. Chris, yes, this stream will be available on YouTube immediately after I end it. So once it's done, it should be there as a VOD or VOD. All right, so there we have our next one. This is one of our previous winners as well. Peace at Sunrise from Hyder Ali. Now, Hyder makes amazing artworks. He always does. He always submits as well. And yeah, this is no exception.
No, this is a hard one to critique again.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is really nice. It's really nice. I know with the characters, like if we take the characters out, I'm kind of getting Elden Ring vibes from this one too, like the golden ethereal light in the background from the. Yeah, this is really nice.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the scene where Frodo, together with some of the elves and Bilbo Baggins sails off into Oblivion or whatever the place is called, where the elves go to live for eternity.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, you're right. It does. It's got that like sort of.
The lighting feels similar, and the general vibe feels similar as well. For me, the characters could have gone. I feel like
I've noticed this a lot recently. Like just in general over the last 12 to 18 months, like I keep seeing these. Is it 3D people characters that keep popping into renders?
I think it's just one of those things where a lot of teachers teach people to use characters with skill.
Yeah.
And to make images more human, and that's not wrong. It's not a wrong approach.
No.
But it's just one of those things where you don't always need a character in your scene. This image would have been just as good, if not better, without it.
Yeah, and sometimes the scene is the character. Like you don't necessarily have to like just make it an environment. The environment can be the character.
Or maybe, instead of having them over here, have one be in one of these windowsills where it's just way less visible and you just have a silhouette essentially, and the silhouette is still a nice touch to add a human element in it, but it detracts less from the image than these two characters which are up close.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but overall extremely well done as usual, Hyder. So good job. Oh, and this is, by the way, what I meant, right? The water here is see-through. The water here is not. So
yeah, the Fresnel.
They really understand how to use that. Cool. Next one is called Pirates Sunset by 3D Hand.
Okay, I mean, it's not a sunrise because they've put that in the title. Okay, this is a interesting one. Again, maybe we don't need the pirate. Maybe we just need the bow of the ship to see that it's a pirate ship. Maybe you put a skull and bones flag on.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what's going on with that island on the left. You've hidden that island on the left.
That's also maybe just smart placement because the island is very barren and they didn't have time to add in details there.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, exposure seems slightly off. Like the candlelit lamp at the front seems to be the exact same perceptual brightness of the sun. So maybe there's an issue there. but I mean, overall good. The water surface seems oceany enough. Like
Yeah.
they're big waves, but they've also got the detail.
Mm-hmm.
And the ships in the background sailing off into the distance or sailing towards the. Are they ships? I would assume they're ships. Just whatever they are on the water.
Oh, they're ships. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think good effort. Maybe I can't tell if I'm looking at it wrong, but is the horizon flat or is it like tilted to the left a bit?
It's slightly tilted. Yeah.
Yeah, that's thrown me off a little bit because
Oh, I kind of like that.
Oh, do you? Okay, yeah, it kind of throws me off a little bit that because I'm like, am I? Maybe they're going for the vibe of like the boats rocking on the ocean.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I can put up with that. But no, it threw me off a little bit. I was like, is everything tilted to the left? Is like the image sliding off?
Funnily enough, I used the exact same technique in one of my previous videos that I released, and I think it's just a very good way to grab someone's attention because you, like you said, you immediately notice it. It's like, what's going on? And
Yeah,
it's a
you
very
definitely
good way
notice
to
it.
grab some attention and have people look at your image a little bit longer, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. If the goal is to get people to stare, so that you've done it. Good effort.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next one is called Postcard from the Countryside by Gabe Dobsky. Very unique take again. Someone in Discord mentioned this looks like it's from Red Dead Redemption, which it does.
Yeah.
Which it does. I feel like the postcard effect is almost detracting from the amazing render that you made. I like the idea, but because you're losing so much detail in the stylistic choice you're going for, and I can tell this is a good render. I see so much detail in here. It's kind of lost in this sort of ancient postcard vibe.
Yeah, and that's kind of problematic because this is a really complex scene that they put together. I'm sure they shared the whips in our Discord, or the work in progress in our Discord. This is like a really detailed, complex scene. And right now, as it is, it's a perfect game asset.
Yes.
The problem is that this is not a game. Like, the competition, if that makes sense. Like, we want to see the work.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It would have been nice if they just did the render as a proper render and then just added this in as like a little touch, maybe.
Yeah, like an Easter egg or something.
Yeah, or even just sharing it as a different image.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It really is amazing. It's just you've gone too far and took away from it.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, you are clearly skilled at what you're doing, Gabe, so keep at it.
Yeah.
All right, next one, another pirate themed one, Retired Pirate by Cold Toad. Same for me here with the water. Ripples, they just feel like they're a little bit too large. They need to be slightly smaller. Again, also with the differences in how the ripples look, maybe mix in another noise texture. Also here, less reflection. We need more see-through water over here. But overall, that's a really nice piece. I mean, the lighting is there, looks quite cool. Yeah, I kind of like it.
Yeah, I do too. I think there are a couple of just extras that you could have added in. So a little bit of wetness on the boat. You just add just like a gradient texture or something to
the wood.
Yeah, so the wood to get it to be a little bit darker, and the roughness as well, so you can make it reflective. Maybe add some ripples around the boat, just interacting off it. But I mean, like, story-wise, it's really good. You know, we got the man fishing, we got his bucket for his fish, we got the duck waiting for some fish to come up. Vegetation in the foreground, lily pads on the pond. Like, there's a lot of details that you've put in here.
Yeah.
But then just fell short on some of the bigger bits.
Yeah, I believe they expressed that they did something entirely different in their day-to-day, and they were now trying to see if they could dive into 3D. And if that's the case, then I'd say you're definitely on track. Keep at it, and soon you will not be doing what you were doing before.
Yep, keep it up.
Next one is called Ruins of Modernity or Modernity by CGI Beast. Yeah, I think this is a really cool piece again.
It is.
It could do with a bit higher quality render next time because it's kind of grainy, which it might be on YouTube's end anyways, but on my end it lacks a little bit of detail. But yeah, overall, great image, lots of story in here as well. Save the Planet on the left side there. Again, another dystopian look. God rays. It does have the sunset vibe, to me at least. And there's something about a monster here. Yeah, I think this is a pretty cool dystopian image.
Yeah, no, I like it. The glow might be the glow effect, or the glow that's going on might be a little bit too
much.
Keep it, tone it down a touch.
Yeah.
But I think overall it's really good. You know, good quality assets.
I believe I've heard someone say, and I'm not sure who it was anymore, but they said, okay, when it comes to glow and those types of things, go down to what you think should be the amount of glow, and then take 10% of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually a good amount of glow.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's common with like older cameras and things too that don't support HDR. You don't really have a glow on HDR, so just it's one of those things like dispersion, tone it down a touch because it's actually way less needed than you think it is.
Yeah, but well done for sure, CGI Beast. All right, next one is called Statue of Justice by Avi Yorpel. Now, for me, first of all, this does not have any Sunrise Serenity vibes. I think it's a pretty cool image.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the characters there, the statue is cool, the lighting around it is cool. It's a cool image. It's a great piece for like social media or something, but it's yeah. I don't.
Yeah, feels like it might have been dropped in the wrong challenge because it's definitely not Serenity Sunrise. But it doesn't stop it being a good piece. I just don't think it does anything for the theme. I don't have much to say on it. There's nothing to critique really. The colors are really good. The quality of things are good. It's just doesn't fit the brief.
Yeah, I agree. Still a cool image though, so well done on making a cool image.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, okay, so this one is called Stonehaven Citadel by Trey Cochran 3D, and I believe they also won one of the previous, or not one, but like were one of the runner-ups in one of the previous challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so usage of foliage and trees in this one is stunning.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly realistic. It just looks so good. The model here is amazing as well. I believe it's one of Sweeper 3D's asset pack models. Yeah, I really like this. It could have done a little bit more sunrise for me, just maybe making it slightly warmer, adding a bit more color contrast in there. But besides that, this is a stunning piece.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's, if anything, all this needs is just a color balance adjust. It doesn't need a rework of the scene. It doesn't need the sun change or anything like that. Maybe just some color balance adjustments.
And it doesn't need that like per se. It just needs it within the context of the challenge, right?
Yeah, within the context of the challenge. I mean, outside of the challenge, this is a very, very good image. Like,
yeah,
it's really good. It just sort of lacks the whole golden hour effect that you would get with the sunrise.
I agree. Really good submission though. So well done, Trey Cochran 3D. And not a whole lot I can fault it on besides, you know, maybe color. It's just a perfect image besides that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this next one is called Sunrise in Sky by Ramond.
Okay,
I like
interesting.
This. It's a very unique take again.
Yeah, this is nice. This is a very interesting take.
And I completely get it as well, right? It's like the sunrise you get when you're in an airplane, and
Yeah.
It's such a mood when it's above the clouds. It's such a unique angle of looking at the sky and the sun, and I really like this one.
Yeah, this is nice. This yeah, yeah, this is a hard one to critique. I mean, like there's nothing outside of the viewpoint, which is standard. I mean, you're on an airplane. There's not a lot on an airplane other than seats. Um, and then the distance, maybe I would. The clouds fall short. Like there's like a pretty obvious line where they stop. Maybe you could
Mm,
extend them out a bit more. Maybe more patches of cloud uh, varying the cloud density or something. But I mean, outside of that, it's a very nice image.
yeah,
Well done.
yeah, very unique take. So I love that. Well done, Ramad. Next one is called Sunrise on the Skyline by Swifty. So this is
Okay.
very Blade Runner again, or maybe it's, yeah, well, maybe Blade Runner could be. Um, Kind of futuristic city.
Hmm.
I like the models here. There's a nice variation. These sort of ad screens, they're pretty cool as well. Um, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think overall, I mean, a lot of work's gone into it. So like the understanding of what you were working on, not specifically like the brief, but like your understanding of working on something is very good. I think there are some technical problems. We got some repetition in the textures.
Mm,
We got a lot of hard edges on sort of that building top there. If you didn't make the model, then obviously that's not on you. But if you did, just add a little bevel in there to soften out some of those edges.
yeah,
The contrast is a little bit lacking here. Um, I think the problem with this, in terms of like trying to hit the brief, is that you've given yourself such a densely populated city that
hmm,
it's really hard to get like a low angle sun to come across.
yes,
So it's kind of just like the top of the buildings are what's being hit. Um, so maybe that's something to look at. Like off screen, you could kind of just carve an area where no buildings are, and then you can fake that sort of sunbeam to come through. Um, but I mean, overall, it's a nice piece. I like the vibe you're going for. I like the story that you're going for. The
yeah,
billboards are really cool.
yeah. I agree with all of that. It's a very decent piece. It's just not one of my favorites when it comes to really conveying that sunrise
Hmm. Yeah,
theme for me. Yeah, but well done, Swifty. Definitely keep at it. You're going directions. All right, next one is called Sunrise Serenity by Kenny.
I like this.
I like it too. Yeah, for sure. My like if you look at this image initially, your brain will probably tell you, okay, this is a good looking image.
Hmm.
And that's like points scored, right? Because that's the first thing you want to convey to somebody who's watching your art. Is like, oh, this looks good.
Yeah,
um but once you start diving in a little bit deeper, there is some stuff that should be a little bit better. Like, for example, there's 3 cabins and they're all exactly the same.
yeah.
um there doesn't need to be 3. You could have just used 1.
Hmm.
Same for the trees, very much repetition in the modeling. um Same for skill. Some of these skill things feel a little bit off. Like, how far away is this boat? It doesn't feel like it's too far away. Well, if that's the case, then it's either a very small boat or this is a very large tree and these are huge, um well, whatever they are, eagles or something.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. Now that I've spent a bit more time looking at it, the cabin is just a straight duplicate.
yeah,
And you can see that because specifically the canopy at the front, which seems to be damaged, is the exact same damage as the one
mm-hmm,
on the right. Um, the tree again does kind of throw the scale off because that's in focus, and so is the stuff in the background. So it makes your brain think everything's in the same focal plane. So it
yeah,
makes you think that if something's smaller, is that other thing actually bigger or is it further away?
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
So maybe that's an issue that needs to be looked at here. Get rid of the two cabins on either side. You don't need them. Like Jesse said. And other than that, I think you've done a pretty good job.
Yeah,
Mist on the water, nice.
it's a very
Reflections in
good
the
image.
water,
Like I
nice.
said, like overall, initially, it's a great image. It just
Yeah.
needs a little bit of tweaking here and there, and then this could be an amazing image.
Yeah, agree.
All right, next one is called The Grove by Pixel Slave. And this is obviously very Avatar inspired, I think. Um, cool image. I'm not sure if I get too much of a sunrise vibe from it, and I feel like the contrast is a little bit too harsh.
Yeah. Yeah, the contrast is too harsh, and the sun is, unless, and correct me if I'm wrong here, unless we're at a very weird angle, like that sun is too high to be a sunrise.
Yes, it's just the sun.
Yeah, it's just in the sky.
Yeah.
So you missed the beat a bit. It doesn't mean that the image is not good, like technically, and
No, the foliage just, looks quite nice, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of it as well, which is always good. It's basically it's just a little bit too dark in some areas, and that creates too much contrast. I feel like.
Yeah, it just crushes the detail away, which takes away from the image. But
Yeah.
no, good overall.
Overall,
I think,
cool. And I think in this case, because you're using a character which is intentionally fake, like there's no person on Earth with such wings anyway, so we're not detracting this for its realism. A character like that can more easily add more intrigue to an image than an actual real looking person or character.
Yeah, I agree.
Because this is just a little bit more, easily acceptable for us. In a weird way, right?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of weird, but just the fact that it's clearly a fake creature makes it more easily acceptable to be CG looking.
Yeah.
All right, so this one is called The House by Project Unknown, and this is absolutely from Ghibli's Spirited Away movie. I think it's really fun, looks cool. I'm not necessarily getting very strong sunrise vibes.
No.
But doorbell. But yeah, overall the image is really cool. I like the idea of creating this in 3D instead of it being 2D. And the main issue I would have with this image is the water here at the end. It's cut off. I think you used a square plane to create the water, and then either used an HDRI or an image for the sky. And you can easily fix this by just adding in some volumetric here to hide the seam between these two, and that should fix that issue and not make sure that we can actually see the transition between where this water plane ends and the sky begins. Overall, well done. I'm curious on how you did the island here. The grass looks amazing, and the colors are really on point compared to the movie. So well done on that one. Good job. All right, so we're gonna wait a little bit for Rich to come back. There he is.
Sorry about that, folks.
No problem. Welcome back. We've moved on to the next one already. It's called The Lake of Whispers by MB.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was a lot of ooze. That's a lot of detail in that mountain.
Yeah,
that's a ton of detail. The water's really nice too. I think I'm getting a bit of caustics coming through that I can see.
Yeah, it's clear that there's like shallow water over there, which is really nice.
Yeah, this is really nice. Okay, so maybe the color tone's a little bit off for the whole sunrise, but
I agree.
It's a good piece.
Just having a little bit more warm tones, or maybe the sun being clearly visibly more lower, the golden hour look would have been perfect for this image, and then it would be like a very, very good image. But even without that, it's still a very good image.
Yeah, this is top tier work, 100% top tier work. Just slightly missed the brief a bit.
Yeah,
Well done.
definitely well done for sure. Okay, so the next one is called The Lighthouse Man by Digilime. Now, I think this is a very original piece again.
This is very quaint. I like
Yeah,
this.
I like the fact, funnily enough, that they used such a Robloxy character, even though like the lighthouse itself looks very realistic.
Yeah.
But somehow it works.
Yeah, no, it does. I think it's the color tones that have kept it within sort of
Yeah,
within that realm. No, the dichotomy is nice there. That's it's very fun. And am I just noticing on the bottom left there's like uh, a terrain and a landscape in the background.
seems like it. Yeah,
That's really well done. Yeah, that's nice.
yeah. I feel like
Yeah,
somehow this could be one of those quaint art house 3D movies, you know,
yeah,
where
yeah.
they
Good.
intentionally chose to go for uh realism combined with non-realistic things like this character,
Hmm.
and it works.
Yeah, it does. It's really nice. Again, sunrise is really hard to nail here. Like you can see it's a low angled light, but maybe I just like a bit more orange and pink hues going on. Maybe I'm being a bit too subjective. It's a really good piece.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get what you're coming from for sure. Well, again, great job, DJ Lime. DJ Lime has submitted several times before, and usually has some cool looking artworks as well. So great job.
The tourist.
All right, so this is the submission by one of our previous winners as well. At the start of a new day by KV3D.
Well done. On first impressions, this is a very well done piece. There are two suns. Yeah, there's a sun in the main arch, and there's a sun on the left arch.
Mm-hmm.
This is nice. The colors are nice. The contrast is nice. The attention to detail. There's that two birds on the foreground of the shore.
Yes, these are
Yeah.
birds. And there's a sword here, some rubble, more rubble.
Wow.
Basically,
Yeah, that's
this,
nice.
I guess, this image, because there's like dead soldiers here and here and here.
Hmm.
The story here is that, you know, the war is over and it's the start of a new day. And yeah, this guy is one of the sole survivors of this epic battle that took place.
Yeah, this is a really nice piece of work. The distance is really well done. We've got that haze.
I
Just
like
the
the
right
light
amount of sort.
in these
Yeah, yeah.
archways here. It's so
I was just
good.
about to say that. Yeah, the light in the archways, that just enough halation and fog
Yeah,
to sort of rim light them in a way, but it's not really rimless. It's like, yeah, no, it's really nice. Wow, well done, well done.
yeah, I completely agree. So another great job, KV3D. Again, a contender to win. Oops, I went a little bit too far there. All right, so this next one is called "The Sunrise is Not Only Enjoyed on Earth" by Kirill. So this
Okay.
is thematically very similar to the Daybreak one, I think.
Yep.
I think in terms of execution, it's different because there's clearly a character looking at it, and there's
Hmm.
parts of like a space station or a satellite or something, which is another, you know, very fun idea of conveying this. I'm looking at the sunrise from space. I like the color on the sun, even though it's not realistic, because, you know, the sun from space, it doesn't have any atmospheric color changes going on, so it would
Hmm.
just look white basically. Having said that, though, I think the framing could have been a little bit better. I would have liked to see at least a little bit of shoulder or neck for this astronaut, because now it's just a little bit hard to see what this actually is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's the head with the visor, and I also, maybe I don't know if this is just me, but it feels like it's not in that scene. The reflections on the visor don't. There's no earth in the reflection, and I
Mm,
can't see any hot white spots. It also looks like the sun's coming from top down rather than front on. Look
mm.
at the rim light above the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Um, yeah, composition's a little bit off. Framing's a little bit off.
yeah. But a cool idea
But a
nonetheless.
great
Yeah,
idea, great.
yeah. So well done, Carol. Next one is called The Underground Man by Hartley Smoker, which I think is funny because he has a cigarette in the image. So I'm not too
Uh,
sure what's going on there. Um,
Discord names are so meta.
yeah, I think
Uh,
this one is pretty well done. It's a good looking image. First of all,
mhm.
the vibes there. It's a very what's the word? Sepia style vibe in terms
Yeah.
of color, and it has this sort of noir feel to it. Um, so I enjoy it. I'm not too sure about the whole sunrise thing,
hmm
but yeah, overall it's still a good looking image.
Yeah, I think the I think maybe the image could, like the light that's hitting the table, if that was brighter, a little bit more blown out, that would
Mm.
maybe push it so it was easier to say, yeah, this is definitely a sunrise or sunlit sun rising shot. Like coffee at breakfast. But
Yeah, the
right
only thing
now,
really giving away the angle of the sun currently is like the angle of the shadows,
yeah,
but the
um,
color or the intensity of it doesn't really
doesn't help
shout
it now.
sunrise. No.
No, and that's probably it. There's probably a lot of color balancing that needs to be done here,
Mm.
and maybe a bit more contrast that needs to be done because at the minute it's a little washed out in some areas, which is bizarre because the bottle is very contrast and the pen is very contrast,
Mm.
but the other blacks and the shadows are not.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. Yeah,
so your black point seems to be a little bit off, but I mean it's a nice render, it's a nice shot, good story. Writing a letter at
absolutely.
breakfast.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, good work.
All right, and this one is called Underground Resonance by WinRared, I think. Do
Oh,
you guys
okay,
pay for
wow.
WinRAR? I don't.
I'm a
Just
7-zip man.
just you know, you
Um,
always get the prompt right. Do you want to pay for
always get a
WinRAR?
prompt.
No, I don't. Still
Yeah,
not.
remind me later.
Yeah.
15 years go by.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh goodness. No, I like this. This is like an underground temple. I'm assuming this is like the rock that
Something,
we're looking
yeah.
at.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the concept and story is very good here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sunrise wise seems to be hard to get because it kind of, like, if you're underground, then the sun's got to be pretty high up to come through a hole, I'm guessing. Like those shadows just don't seem long enough to be a sunrise or golden hour.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, oh man, the quality of the work is up there.
Oh yeah, it's really good. Really good. I think
Yeah,
like visually this is a really good image. It's one of the better ones, but
100%.
there is stuff that's wrong with it. Like
Mhm.
besides the sunrise maybe not being possible in the location that we are in right now.
Mhm.
So this is definitely like a noon type of sun. The other thing to me is these sort of shrubs. They're cool
Yeah,
looking, but it doesn't make sense to me that there would be plants that somehow have sunlight and water enough to survive in a place like this.
yeah,
Um, so that's sort of weird to me. I feel like you mainly did that for color contrast. The other thing is again the characters. Like this one in the middle makes sense, right? Because this feels like some sort of place where adventurers and explorers go. But this chick over here, she's just not wearing anything basically, and not really kitted up for such an adventure. Um, and there's tire tracks here, but there's no actual car or anything, or does it make sense for there to be a car? And if it does make sense, then maybe there should be a car somewhere.
Yeah, then the more I look at it now, the more it
So there's
yeah, the
there's
more it kind of
some
breaks down a little
stuff.
bit.
Yeah.
Um, it seems, yeah. I mean, there are parts like on the top left where the wall merges into the brick wall. Like that could have been done a bit more eloquently. Maybe some sculpting of that to make it look like the brick has formed around it or grown through it.
Mm,
Right now, it kind of just looks clipped.
yeah.
And yeah, again, the characters,
Yeah.
when you look more at them, they stand out in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Even though
But
they are good quality,
still, it's,
visually pleasing.
yes, a good looking image.
Yeah.
So well done, Win Rar Ed.
Yeah.
Next one, Whispers of the Ancient by Mr. GR. Yeah, this is really cool. This is definitely the orange and teal look, which I always enjoy.
Yeah.
A very heavenly image.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily the most sunrise of images, but nonetheless, it does have a little bit of sunrise vibe to it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think we might be clipped. I mean, your face might be over the sun in the stream, so we can't see the sun there very well. But no, I think it's a lovely image. I love the colors. The color theory going on here is really nice. The blues, the bronzes, the coppers.
Yeah,
it's really, really well done.
Nice and detailed image as well.
Yeah, like the texture scaling seems to be right. The bump maps, the normal maps, none of it seems like overdone. So really well done.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I think it's a very unique and stylistically well done image for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Mr. GR. Next one, and I believe this is the last one. You need a little bit of sundown here. With best regards, Democracy by Radical, which is one of our mods.
I saw this.
I think this is from the game Helldivers 2. I haven't played it yet.
Oh, okay. You should. It's a very good game. I saw this at the peak of like the Helldivers hype, and it made me chuckle because I was playing at the time, and I was like, "That's fun." I'm not sure what it has to do with Sunrise or Serenity, but it's a great piece of work regardless.
Yeah, I like it a lot from like the story that's going on here, and I think the sort of atomic bomb that's being fired at this planet is basically providing this planet with sunlight, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a funny image, and definitely a good render. So job well done, Radical.
Yeah, well done.
Good job. All right, that's actually the last one. So that means we can now get into choosing our winners.
Okay.
I'm going to close off this thing real quick because I want to get rid of all of these lines. Let me just reopen the file here. There we go. And do you have one which you feel like should definitely be in the top 3, Richard?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Let me know in the chat, guys, what you guys think, by the way.
Do I have one I think should definitely be in it? I really do love the deer one still.
The first one.
Yeah, I know, right? I really do love the deer one. Maybe I'll have to have a look at them again, I think. I'll have to have a look at them again.
All right, so this is the first one. I'm just going to scroll through them relatively quickly, and we can watch them all one more time.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Oh, I think we lost Richard again. Richard, where are you? Now he's gone. Yeah, he is. Richard. Yeah, it's gonna be a hard one, guys. So my top three for this one in a non-specific order so far, would be. Let's go back here. So I really like this one by Mugen. All right, yep. And I really like this one by Under. That was clear already. And I really like this one by Trey Cochran 3D, even though this might not be the most on brief. Those would be my top three. And I'm just gonna add in Richard again. Hello, Richard. Welcome back.
How's it going, folks? I don't know what's going on
Good
today.
afternoon. Yeah, so I was just saying my top three.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you should say yours as well. And then if there's overlap between them, then maybe that's definitely a winner. So my top three would be this piece by Mugen.
Mm-hmm.
This one by Under.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
And finally, I really like this one, even though it's not the most on brief.
Okay, yeah.
So what's yours?
I think.
It's in a non-specific order, by the way. These three is just my favorite.
Yeah,
three.
I'm thinking. Start of a New Day. I really liked. The one with the night. And was it Distant Heights? Was the other one?
Yeah, that's the one by Mugen. Whoops, which would be this one.
Oh, wait there. I'm just waiting for it to catch up. What's going on? Yeah. And maybe I'm torn between Lifetime and Stonehaven to be in my top three.
Lifetime?
Because which one was it? The one with the mech and the.
Oh yeah, that's the one from Under. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so them two, and the reason I'm torn between them two is because they're both technically very proficient, but also both equally not as on brief, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Both of them are both very good. So maybe.
And if we're talking about like on brief, if we're talking about an on brief standpoint, would you consider this one to be more or less on brief than the one from Trey
Yeah,
Cochran?
I would say that. Yeah, so I would say that Lifetime from Under is
Where is it? There it is.
Has a more lower sun vibe than Stonehaven. So potentially, from that point of view, it would be more accurate for a sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think maybe my top three is probably Distant Heights by Mugen, Lifetime by Under, and Start of a New Day by, I've forgotten their name, I'm afraid.
KV3D.
KV3D.
I mean, I'm more than down with that. So seeing as we both like this one and we feel that this is on brief, because it is the Distant
Mhm.
Heights one,
Yeah,
that's probably the most deserved winner, right?
I would agree. Yeah, I think that they've nailed basically 90% of everything there, if not 95.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, maybe they are the winner.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's just, you know, shake hands on that virtually like that. And yeah, I mean, congratulations, Mugen, for winning first place then. Um, we do definitely like yours, Hyder Ali. Don't worry. We like a lot of them, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's only 3 winners, so we have to decide on the ones that are best.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough when they're watching too, because what if we make fools of
Just ignore
ourselves?
them. Just ignore them. Just ignore them. Yeah, and we both like this one as well. So that would mean it's a fair second place.
Yeah,
Potentially.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Okay. Well then, I mean, congratulations, Under, on winning second place here. That means you're getting two True VFX add-ons as well. First place obviously got 3, so that's even better. And third place, yeah, we have to decide on one.
Okay.
And I had a different one than you had, but that's fine. You know, we can still argue on that. Or I agree that this is just not entirely on brief. The Stonehaven Citadel, and this one is.
Okay.
The start of a new day is 100% on brief.
Yeah, and this is kind of where it becomes a little bit tough, because Stonehaven Citadel is technically a better render.
Yeah.
But Start of a New Day, I think, is a better image, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I don't know. Do we argue? Do
You
we
make the call.
What they
you
think?
make the call. It's like the giveawayer of add-ons here. I feel like it's your place to make that call.
As the guest, I get to make the call. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, then I think I'll stick to my choices and say
Yep.
that I think Start of a New Day by KV3D is
Okay.
Is third place. Very deserving.
Cool.
Third place.
Well, I mean, congratulations then, KV3D, on winning a second time, or at least placing a second time, as third place. Congratulations. Well done.
Well done.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go switch back to full screen here for a bit.
See our big pretty faces.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, besides congratulating all the winners, again, I want to shout out that you can currently get the True Sky add-on with 35% off if you use the code True Sunrise. And you can find all of that in the video description as well. So definitely go check that out. Help support the channel at the same time as well. That's good for you to know. And I want to thank everybody so much for sending in all of these submissions. We had a record amount of submissions. We also had a record amount of amazing submissions, not only, you know, fluff submissions, but actual great images. So thank you so much for trying your best and creating all of these wonderful, wonderful submissions. I hope you enjoyed it, Richard. I hope you
loved it. It was great being part
found
of
the submissions good.
Oh, dude, some of them were amazing. Some of them it was really hard to pick.
Yeah.
You know, when you got a community with the quality that you do.
Yeah,
it's hard for us to be objective sometimes.
They're getting harder and harder each time, honestly. Yeah. So it's quite you guys make our lives difficult at this point, but in a good way.
Yeah,
right?
we're just banning them.
Yeah. So thank you so much again for taking the time, Richard, to be here. Thank you so much for sponsoring all of this and providing people with your add-ons. My mods will contact the winners, and we'll be sure to set everything up and have everybody get their prizes in a decent amount of time. Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Thank you again for inviting me.
Yeah, no worries. Was happy to have you on. It was fun, and who knows, maybe in the future we can do this again sometime.
Oh, looking forward to it.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Have a good day, and thank you everybody for watching, tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next stream.
See you later, guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.